Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. I have the blank, always a great sight. But with 3 L's, I probably don't have a bingo here. I've got the kill component part of a word, but LN blank, not promising. Now, opponent has provided a G, so I have the ing ending, but I'm not seeing anything. I've got the like ending with N-double-L. No, still not seeing anything. What I can do is play kill down here, which certainly sorts the rack out and is better than changing and doesn't give a huge amount away. Hog takes a C and an S in front and an H, S and G afterwards. I'm going with this. That looks a little more promising. There could well be a 7 here, and probably some 8s. I have the un prefix. So what are the floaters? Well, an L doesn't look promising. I think I will squiz through the alphabet, having in mind both 7s and 8s. So that's colour as a component part of the word. So if I had an I would have a unicolor, spelt the American way. That looks close, but I'm not seeing anything. That would be unicolor through a C. Wow, great start for opponent. Nice bingo, 75 points. I'm going to continue this exercise. But nothing so far. Three O's, not promising. I have the up prefix with the P. QU, but no bingo. Out prefix. LY ending. No, okay, well that's disappointing. I was hoping at least some 8s might come to mind. So let me consider the specific floaters that opponent has provided. What about the W? No. A looks promising. Not seeing anything. How about the L? No. And finally the T. Again, looking at the out prefix. And a UNT beginning. No, I'm really not seeing anything, which is a bit of a shame. I don't have anything down to the triple word square in the middle. I have nothing which goes in front of L. I'd like to get rid of O and U. How can I do that? Well, this doesn't feel great. I do have outro. Only 10 points. That is pretty tragic. Surely I can do better than that. And with a blank, I certainly would want to get rid of the U. That significantly hampers my bingo prospects. Well, what about unroll? 12 points. Not really terribly much better, except the rack leave is better, and I am providing floaters. I'm going with this. And I draw the second blank. Fantastic. I hadn't realised different colours were used for the 0 in these blanks, or maybe it's because I scrolled through one of them. Now, F and M not massively bingo-y, but when you've got 2 blanks, a lot of racks are available, so there should be something here. I would have 4 time through an R or an E. Wow, another bingo by opponent. Fantastic. I now trail by 130. And opponent's play has obstructed the bingos in Waltia. So N and U look the most useful. How about the N? Well, nothing is immediately springing to mind. Let me run through just one blank. Well, anti-foam through an A. Ah, great. So I do have a bingo in row C, anti-foam. And, well, I was going to say I have fumitory, but the U is in the wrong spot for that. I have comfits with the blank as an S, but I don't think that plays anywhere. Unroll has obstructed an S lane, and Peacods has taken the other one. I'm not rushing to play anti-foam because that's placing an A in column 1 above a double letter square. That's the 4 time rack, which doesn't play. Now, double F together can be promising. Not seeing anything. 14 minutes on my clock. Well, I'm not awash with bingos. That's anti-foam with an A. 4 time with an E. And fumitory. So, oft times through a T and an E. Nothing available. Well, I am going to have to go with anti-foam, but I suspect there are better options available. 72. Great, I draw a good scoring tile or scoring tiles in the J and the Z. It's always nice to draw a bingo, but in the absence of drawing a bingo, good scoring tiles are useful. Now, good score for opponents. He leaves alone column 1. Can I get my A or J doubled? I'm not sure I can. I've got azide, but that doesn't quite reach the triple word square. I could play just ZA or Zia. Maybe I should leave that alone. Looking at column 4 to see if I've got anything down here. I could play Jizz. Let me see what that scores. 38 points, pretty good. An alternative to that would be Jay-Z. 32 points, leaving, well, I'm getting rid of the Y, which is good, but leaving a vowel-heavy rack. However, I'm stopping opponent from scoring massively in that spot. Let me just put this back. I am inclined to go with Jay-Z, but I just want to satisfy myself that I don't have a play which places a J or a Z on this double letter square, because that would be a big miss if I do. Well, I'm not seeing it if there is one. So I am going to play Jay-Z for 32. Well, I do draw a couple of consonants, and this is looking a little bingo-y, but with double I and double N. I don't think there is a bingo here. I trail by a bingo, but opponent's on turn, so that could rapidly get worse. I need to keep the board open. The C next to this double word square really inhibits parallel plays in column 11, which would develop the board. 17 minutes on opponent's clock and 12 on mine. Still half the bag to go. Great, opponent finally slowing down. But what am I going to do with no scoring tiles? Well, certainly sort out the duplicates and address the vowel-consonant balance. Well, this achieves one of those goals, but it's only 18 points. However, with no scoring tiles, I can't really expect to score significantly above that. One possible play would be down from the L. So I could play linen in that spot, L-I-N-I-N, for 18, the same number of points, but this is a better rack leaf, so I prefer this. But this is vulnerable to drawing vowels, and there are a ton of vowels to come. 10 minutes on my clock. Is there a slightly better play? Well, I'm not seeing it. I'm going with this. Fin for 18. Well, not bad. I do draw 2 consonants. And I have a scoring tile. What I don't have is a bingo, and there are limited bingo lanes on this board. There's column 2, hooking the Y. Big overlaps in rows J and L, not promising. Words beginning with S or something S. And just the U and the N as floaters for an 8-letter bingo. Great, just the 20 points for opponent. Now, what about playing Lowin to open the board up? 27 points. Decent rack leave. Can I do any better than this? So the W is my scoring tile. Where can that play? Well, there are no super hot W spots, so I am going with this. And I trail by 80, so my opponent's not out of sight. There are still 38 tiles to come, but I am probably a pretty heavy underdog at this stage. I haven't drawn particularly well. M, U, and G. G and U go particularly badly together. I have the ING ending, but the rest of the rack doesn't make a bingo. Very few hotspots for tiles on this board, and by tiles I mean scoring tiles like the M. They're particularly useful when you do have vowels next to triple letter squares, for example. I guess the U of unroll is available, so I could play gum and The U and the N aren't massively useful floaters. However, gum would be obstructing the 7-letter lane in column 2, which isn't great. I would have magnitude through a couple of floaters. They're not available. Okay, opponent closing the board down. It's A and I need for magnitude, and He's not provided them. Augmented through an A and an E. Okay, well, I do need to sort my rack out. Can I do anything better than gum? 20 points. Well, it's not giving anything hugely away. But how does this leave the board in terms of bingo lanes? Hardly any. And I'm only 100 behind, so I'm certainly not at the point at which I should be giving up. Still 3 S's to come, so how about playing Gorm here? Gorm takes an S, and I'm leaving alone the floating U and N and column 2. I think this is a much better play. I draw the Q, still 2 U's to come. Do I have any something IQ words? Well, none which plays. The U of Unroll is available. So I have Queen through that, leaving a pretty awful rack leave. Great, opponent has not really obstructed anything. He's taken out the floating M, but the S hook is still available. So anything better than Queen. Still a lot of E's to come, so it's not terrible burning the E's, and it's good to turn over tiles when an S would be particularly valuable. Am I missing any Q spots on this board? Well, I can't see anywhere else for the Q, but is there any alternative to Queen in this spot? Well, not that I'm seeing. So Queen for 28. Well, that looks a little better. I do now draw a U. So I had a U on both racks, either side of having the Q, but that's the way it goes. Through a D, I would have abducted. Just 1 D to come. Now, do I have anything through O, N? Not seeing anything. The B doesn't look promising. MA doesn't look promising. And I don't think I have a 7-letter bingo with this rack. However, I still trail by a similar margin of about 80 points. And 25 tiles to come. So how to sort this rack out? Well, I guess playing Cub would do the job. Queen takes an S and a Y. There's still a Y to come. That could be easily a bingo-y score. Now, I'm not seeing anywhere for Cub. Well, I do have a spot in row A. It doesn't score very much, but it doesn't obstruct any lanes either, so I may wish to do that. 13 points. Now, it's quite a long way after the beginning of the month, but I should just mention that this month's bonus video for Patreon supporters of the channel has now been released. It's a fantastic 5-minute game against one of the best players in the world, Weibin from Singapore. So do check that out if you are a Patreon, and do consider becoming a Patreon if you're not already. The support of the Patreons is absolutely essential to the ongoing survival of the channel, and there are bonus videos every month, including the entire back catalogue, which is available to all patrons, new and existing. Plus, there's the opportunity to book a slot to be my opponent in a game for Dweebovision, which I know a number of the Patreons have taken up, and they've all been very good games. Now, back to this rack. What can I do? Well, an alternative to Cub would be Bond Duck, and that, again, wouldn't score very much, but it would sort the rack out and In addition, create a 7-letter bingo lane for bingos ending in S. Opponent has taken an absolute age with this play, and the remaining tiles are quite bingo-y, so he may be enjoying choosing the best bingo. Row L is a bingo lane. That's a little discouraging. He's burned an S for 49 points, just 2 S's to come. But look at this, a new bingo lane for bingos ending in E. So, I have abductee. Fantastic. For 84 points. What's happened? I think maybe I pressed E twice. Let me have another go. Abductee for 84 points. Bang! Fantastic. Am I back in the game? Well, nearly. I'm now just 40 points behind, rather than 80, but this A probably looks pretty attractive to opponent. However, I've drawn one of the 2 remaining S's, and column 14 is available. And overall, this rack isn't bad. I don't think there's a 7 here. Is there an 8? Possibly gavots from a G. Great, that could have been significantly worse. So, I trail by 80, but I'm on turn. So, 6 minutes on my clock, 12 tiles in the bag. How can I play off a V and a T? And I'd like to play off an O. And I'd like to play off as few tiles as possible. I don't think I can do that, play off just... but I can, and score half decently. I've got Vrot down here for 21 points, and look at this rack leave. This is a beautiful 4-letter rack leave. Surely, 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 given this remaining pool, there must be a reasonable prospect of drawing a bingo. Here we go. Well, not so sure. However, still 9 tiles in the bag. I trail by 60 points. So, is data set good? If it is, it plays in column 14, but I don't think it is good. I think I can check even when it's not my turn. Invalid. Deacon lost contact or quit. He'll be back. He'll be back. He's leading. Unless it's circumstances beyond his control or an emergency. Now, let me utilise this thinking time. Are there any lanes I haven't considered? There's row L for bingos beginning AS. Not promising. Bingos beginning DI. Not seeing anything. Bingos with ON in them. I don't think that works for this rack. Not seeing anything beginning with B or with SB in it. IT is available. So, not too many lanes. The main one, I think, is probably column 14, and the main float of the B, not promising. Great. Deacon is back. So, remaining tiles are bingo-y. And opponent may have an S, given that he played phase, but the score for phase was so high. He may not. If I do have the opportunity, I think the thing to do is to play off just AT. Dates is a good 5-letter set. Okay, so opponent's taken out the main lane. Fair enough. burnt the last S. Remaining tiles looking a little less bingo-y, so one bingo may be enough. Is there any way I can create a new lane? Wow, I'm not sure there is. So maybe what I should do, 5 tiles left, is play Tad and hope that this really good 4-letter set works with the B or with one of these 2-letter sets, D-I-O-N or I-T. It's a pretty forlorn hope. But I think in order for a bingo to be enough to win the game, I have to score something with this move. And there are a lot of E's and I's, so I think the top right would be a scoring spot for opponent if I don't go here. An alternative would be to just play TA. Should I retain a D as well? The only purpose in playing the D is for score. I'd quite like to draw an R, that definitely helps this rack. An N helps this rack, an I helps this rack, and E is probably neutral. D and S sometimes conflict because part of the S's utility is bingo's ending S, part of the D's utility is bingo's ending ED. I think on balance I'm going to play the D. Tad for 19. So I have Aeriest and Seriate, but no 7-letter lanes. Do I have anything beginning with B? I don't think Bestia is good, in which case there probably isn't anything. Anything beginning DI? Not seeing anything. Anything beginning AS? No. What about something through IT? Just slightly vowel heavy here, I think, for 9s. I'll check Bestia, but I'm sure it's not good. And it's not. So how about MA? Opponent has emptied the bag. And a bingo now would be enough. I'm returning to this B. But I'm not seeing a bingo. So a bingo beginning or with MA in the middle. Not seeing anything. Let me just return to ON. 3 minutes on my clock. Not seeing anything. DI. Well, this will be painful if I've missed a bingo because it would be a game-winning bingo. But I really have not seen one, so I need to turn my attention to probably minimizing my losing spread. So how can I do that? Well, I could play Asta down here for 20 points, and then I can go out with Pi or tie. Can I do any better than this? Gosh, that last rack was so close. Maybe TA and keeping the D would have given me something. So this is my play. What I'm going to do is put this back and have one last think about the B. So Bestia isn't good, but did that come to mind because it has a valid anagram? So BA, BE, BI, BR. That's it. I'm not seeing anything there. Are there any lanes I've overlooked? Let's see what Asteria scores. 23. I think Aster is safer. I think Asteria probably gives the opponent an out. So I'm going with Aster for 20. Such a frustrating game. Abductee raised my hopes, but they're then dashed with the final rack. So opponent has 9 minutes to find his best play. He may be able to go out in 1. He doesn't. So where can I play IE? 1 minute on my clock. I've got tie for 3. Sorry, tie for 6. Let me just put that down. Can I do any better than that? Pie is for 5. I'll just scan the board. Die for 4. 40 seconds on my clock. No, I'm not seeing anything better than this, so tie for 6. And the final score, 374 for me, 429 for my opponent, a winning margin of 55 points, so well done to my opponent. Let's see what I missed. Were there any missed bingos there? Let's find out. So, opponent to go first. And he played hog. I had the blank, which was really promising, but no bingo, and I played kill. And look at this, fantastic start for opponent with Waltia. And this is the first rack which looked bingo-y, and I couldn't find one. Unicolor plays. Where is that? Because of Chog. Wow, brutal. And Contrawl, E4, through the T. Double. Gosh, and it's anagram control. Wow, that is painful. I considered unicolor, and I didn't consider the C front hook for hog. Wow. Okay, well, there we go. Now, opponent doesn't miss his bingo and gets peacods down. And here I could only see anti-foam. But the alternatives were mortific through the eye, again utilising the C hook for hog, and moistful through the L. So not too many bingos there. Opponent's rack plays X. Now A4 ZD. Yep, 56 points. That would have been a nice play. D9 JZ. Yeah, interesting. Leaving column 1 alone, which I don't have a problem with since I trail by so much. So there were candidate plays there. Opponent with a lot of vowels plays Jai. Now I have bingo-y tiles, but duplicates as well. And I play Finn for 18. And certainly Nima for 29. 11 more points. But the rack leave of ADEIN is 11 points better than DWIN. DWIN must be negative, I would say. I would say that is maybe minus 3. And ADEIN, I would say, is positive and probably worth 5 or 6. In which case there's about a 10-point difference, and there's about a 10-point difference in score, so I prefer my play. Opponent's rack plays Now, this again looked close to a bingo, but this time there isn't one. And I played Lawin. That looks fine. And opponent misses a bingo. Air radios, N3, through the eye. Okay, tricky one to spot. And now my rack drifts away from being bingo-y. And I play Gorm to open the board up. L1, Mudge. Yeah, a bigger score, providing scoring spots, but really inviting opponent to shut down the whole of the left of the board, which then effectively shuts down the whole of the board. Playing Gorm at this time means that opponent can only shut down one side of the board, which will always leave the other side open. Now, opponent's rack, no bingo here, plays Crab. I had the Q, and the only Q play is Queen. Opponent's rack plays Phase, so he didn't have a second S. But that's great for me because here it is, Abductee for 84. And I'm back in the game, trailing by 50. Opponent plays Nye. And now my rack looks pretty good, so I was optimistic that my chances had not completely run out. And I played Vrot, which again I was pleased with. It totally sorted the rack out and left a good rack leave and scored. So I now trail by 55. Opponent plays Pies, which was a good play. It really takes out the best bingo lane. However, I only need a bingo, and there are 5 tiles in the bag, and I have quite a promising rack. A15 data. So there are 6 vowels left, and 6 consonants. Well, I don't think data is better than tad. However, I'm still unsure as to whether tad is better than tar. I think that would require a simulation. Now, opponent, look at these remaining tiles. From opponent's perspective, I have a really bingo-y set of potential racks. So, opponent plays Via, and here we go. I trail by 71 points. If I bingo now, I win. Wow, there is a bingo. N7. Dietaries, and that is high enough probability that it is in my card box. Brutal. It is a 9-letter play. All 9-letter plays are pretty difficult to see, but there it is. And that would have been enough. Dietaries for 74 would have taken me to 420, plus count back. Wow. And everything else loses. So well done if you spotted that. I missed it. So, well, let's just see what opponent could have done with his last rack. He could have gone out. He didn't. And finally, tie for 6 was best. So, what an agonizing game, and really the story of two missed bingos. I missed Unicolor early on, and then right at the death, I missed Dietaries for the win. So, bingos aren't everything in Scrabble, but they can be the difference between winning and losing. Anyway, many thanks to my opponent for a great battle. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.